The curtain is coming up on the story of Baltimore and its theaters. Flickering Treasures celebrates 72 Baltimore City theaters, revealing the history and the culture of these locations, as well as illustrating a reminder of what life was like when these businesses were thriving. The book took award-winning Baltimore Sun photographer Amy Davis more than 9 years to complete.
I live near the Senator Theater in North Baltimore, and that became my neighborhood theater. And growing up in the suburbs, not in Baltimore, I never had a neighborhood theater, and I just fell in love with the Senator. And it faced foreclosure back in 2007. And I was really upset. What was going to happen to my neighborhood theater? And I began to think about that, and I realized the same thing had already happened to everybody else's neighborhood theater, because the Senator at that time was the last single screen theater left in Baltimore.
From neighborhood theaters and downtown theaters to Black theaters and theaters that are still running, the book is a story of Charm City as seen through its theaters.
You can't talk about Baltimore without talking about race. And that was obvious to me when I began this project. The book took me more than 9 years to complete. And it became even more obvious in the last few years with Black Lives Matter, with what happened in Baltimore after Freddie Gray died. And so I look at these theaters, and they're a reflection. They're really these closed up theaters are really a metaphor for what happened to a lot of Baltimore. The theaters were all on the main streets, the thriving commercial districts, and some of those streets are dormant or worse. And at one time, these theaters were the anchors in their neighborhood on their main streets. And I'd like to see them become that again. I wanted to ask the question, not only having the viewers of the exhibition and readers of the book look at what was, and then with my pictures of the buildings today, what is now, but I also want everybody to think about what could be.
With the addition of an exhibition alongside the book, Davis hopes that her message reaches a different type of audience and hopefully sparks an interest in the subject.
I think theaters represent a lot of things. They're about the art of cinema. So for many people, an experience they had seeing a particular film changed their lives. Several people told me that. It influenced them so greatly. Remember, people went to the movies a lot back in the day. And I think that also as a communal experience, theaters really were important. It's a very different experience. We've sort of forgotten what that's like now, watching Netflix at home, but it's a communal experience, and that enhances the movie going experience. So I think that that sends a message that we need to remember, particularly as theaters are now struggling with the pandemic. Will they all reopen? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Depending on, how many years you have on you, you wouldn't even know that some of these places have been theaters. And it enriches your life to walk down that street and know the history that existed. Imagine people online, like the banner behind me. These are folks lined up for the State Theater. Back during the Depression. I mean, lined up outside, you don't see that anymore. But if you walk down Monument Street, you can picture all those people standing on line with their hats and Argyle socks. It's kind of fun. It just makes you appreciate, by knowing what was there, it makes you respect your city more, I think.
For more information on Flickering Treasures, including where to buy it and how to share your experience with those theaters, head to our website, wmar2news.com.